Hey everybody, this is Josh Runquist here for Heavy Debriefings, and I wanted to try to start something here where you can ask me any questions that you want to, but first, I'm going to answer some of the questions that you didn't ask. Just like I stated in the beginning of the video, I am Josh Runquist. This is Heavy Debriefings. I'm originally from Wisconsin, but I transplanted here to Minnesota 8 years ago as of yesterday when I'm recording this. And I'm going to be 35 coming up in August 19th. I've been a heavy music fan for over 20 years now. I started with Metallica like so many people did my age range, and then Saint Anger came out. And I stopped caring about Metallica, and I wanted to find all the different kinds of heavy music out there. And from there I discovered Dream Theater and Opeth and Anthrax and Killswitch Engage and so many more bands from that time period of 2003 onwards. Why yes I was. From basically when I was in cover bands up to 2022, I was that drummer guy, Josh Runquist. That's how I started off my radio career. I did internet radio, I did AM, FM radio, I did podcast, I did local stations, I was nationally syndicated in a few spots, which I thought was really cool, had some international play as well too, always put my interviews up on YouTube, as YouTube was my secondary thing while I had the radio show, and then later podcast going on. I was that drummer guy for 10 of my 12 years so far. Case in point, I stopped playing drums. Coming up in October, it'll be 5 years since I've touched the drums, and it really makes me sad that I haven't been able to sit behind my kit and play. I could get an electric kit, but I actually have one. I could set it up somewhere in my place, but one, really don't have the room, and two, it's just not the same thing. It's like tossing a tennis ball against the wall rather than playing catch. Playing catch is like playing an acoustic kit to me. The electric kit, it can get the job done, but it's nowhere near as satisfying. I have no intent of rejoining a band, as I've had too many bad memories that go along with it. In fact, in my apartment, all this past week, I have been cleaning out my apartment to get rid of a lot of bad memories. I'm keeping the drums because I still hope to get a house one day, not an apartment, and be able to set up a studio room that I can soundproof the shit out of and just be able to play anytime the mood strikes. I hope that can happen one day, but just in case it does, I'm going to keep the drums around, both the electric and the acoustic kit, and see what happens with that. But with Heavy Debriefings, I feel like it's a little more of who I am because there's so many things that I enjoy that are heavy, be it music, be it things that are related to music that can be heavy. I like talking about my mental health struggles, which can be very heavy. I don't like going into intricate detail about every single thing because why give every single thing away? I know that is a way a lot of people like to do reviews where they meticulously go over every single detail of everything, whereas I like giving a grand overview of everything and not ruin everything for yourself. Like, I could go over every guitar solo or key change or something like that, but that's not fun to me. I want you to experience the music for yourself, and no matter what album or band or anything that I cover, I want to talk about what I enjoy about it, but it's ultimately going to be up to you to decide what you like about it or don't like about it, so I'm just going to debrief you on some heavy things. There is Heavy Debriefings. I do. I think it's a very appropriate name for everything that I covered, just like I talked about. I think it is something that is near and dear to me, and while it doesn't say metal on there, and maybe that's something that is holding me back on YouTube, I think heavy is more appropriate than metal, as I don't like just metal. Even though it is predominantly what I listen to, I think I still cover heavy quite well, be it music or otherwise. As of my latest interview going up here on the YouTube channel with Per Nielsen of Scar Symmetry, I've done 889 interviews that I count. If I counted all the ones that were way too shitty to be able to go up here or in written form, or with bands that I found problematic at the time, but I still did them anyways, or local bands that broke up before the interview could even go up, it would probably be well over 900 right now. And by probably, I mean, it'd be probably closer to 1,000 right now. And my goal right now is to hit that 1,000 mark, and I'm only 111 away. I'm very curious to see what those 111 are going to be. Yes. My series, which has the very uncatchy name of Top 10 Albums from Every Year I've Been Alive, 1988 through 2022. Can't do 2023 as the year's not done yet, and by the time that I have the series scheduled to end, it will end on my 35th birthday. So I wanted to cover the first 34 years that I've been alive, from 1988 to 2022, in a 35-part series. I thought it was 34, and then I thought about it again. I'm an idiot. It's 350 albums that I'm covering, 10 a week, sometimes a little bit more to catch up on things, as I didn't start this at the beginning of the year. I started later, so, some weeks have to do doubles or even triples. But we're almost done with the list. I have to do one more double to make everything fit before August 19th, but everything seems to be on track. I wanted to do this again just to cover the first 34 years of my life because A, I didn't think I was going to make it this long due to my mental health struggles and everything. I didn't think I was going to make it past 25. I didn't want to make it past 25, but I'm going to be here 10 years after that fact, at 35, and I wanted this to be a way to celebrate everything that I enjoy, from all the different styles of heavy music that I enjoy in some way, shape, or form. Almost everything here is metal with a couple of exceptions, and that's the way I like it. And throwing those curveballs in there for albums that you don't expect to be there, albums that if you really truly know me, you do expect, and other albums that I just think that you should be able to enjoy if it piques your interest. And I hope that's been working so far. I've had some people tell me that they've discovered bands and albums thanks to the series, and I hope we can continue that on from 2012 onwards. As of today, when I'm recording this, the top 10 albums of 2011 are up now, and hey, after this video, why don't you go check it out. It will be back just under a different name. Of course, I took this name from the Between the Buried and Me song off their album Alaska, but if you saw what happened roughly about a month ago with some things that have been going on within the BT BAM camp, or their lack of things that should be going on in the BT BAM camp regarding one of their guitarists, seriously, just go look it up. I don't like the response, or their lack of response, of what's been going on there. And I feel like things are not going in a direction that I feel comfortable promoting the band in such a way. So as soon as I come up with a catchy enough name, I will be continuing the series. If you're not familiar with the series, it's my tier chart of covering a band's whole discography of studio albums. And there's plenty of them so far, and I will be getting back to it in due time, as soon, again, as I come up with a good name for it. That I'm still trying to figure out. Once my top 10 of every year list is completed on August 19th, I have several ideas that I'm going through my head right now, trying to do an ongoing weekly series. I might be doing like different kind of subsections, subgenres. I might be covering specific bands. I might be going into more timely things. I'm not entirely sure. But if you have any additional ideas that you would like me to cover in some way, shape, or form, please let me know down below. I would love to see if there's anyone out there who would like to hear my opinion on a particular way of doing things. Actually, quite a bit, and I've been doing that a lot this year. I changed my studio setup, I got a brand new camera, I got a brand new office setup that I've been messing around with. My apartment is changing up a lot, especially this past week, so everything that you see behind me is probably going to change. I'm going to put up some stuff to make it a bit more lively when I do interviews and videos and stuff like that. I got my drums back there, well, my snare drums back there anyways. I got my exercise bike to help keep me in some kind of shape. I got my comics back there, but I also got like a vacuum and a robo vacuum behind me, and there's some things that I want to be able to change up and just try to make look better back here, so it doesn't look so barren, so it doesn't just look like a white prison. And hopefully that will be changing pretty soon. As far as the video content, kind of like I talked about in the last question, there are some ideas that are floating around my head of different type of series videos that I want to make, ways that I'm going to be covering things. Potentially in 2024, I am going to start doing weekly album reviews rather than waiting for the top 10 of every month. That way I can cover more material, it's a little closer to when the albums are actually coming out, get a little more promotion that way. The videos would be a little bit shorter, as I don't think I'd be covering all the albums that are coming out in a particular week. I just don't have that in me, but I can cover the ones that pique my interest, so they could be anywhere from 2 minutes to 20 minutes, depending on how things go. But I think I'm going to do that weekly just to be able to keep things a little bit fresh and not just do a top 10 every single month. 100% the interviews are, I can't always do it on a weekly or daily schedule because in the life of doing interviews, things change drastically, and for someone like myself to have been able to do almost 890 interviews so far, almost 900 interviews, almost 1,000 interviews, you really gotta stay on your toes and be available when things happen. For a lot of PR and stuff, they try to set it up in specific times and dates. That works for some people, it doesn't work for some people. I try to make myself as available as possible, with notable exceptions because I am human. And a lot of times, interviews fall through because either I get ghosted, or the PR doesn't follow through on setting up all the connections, or they forget things, or I personally can't do it for notable reasons. But I always try to make all the interviews happen, and that's going to continue to happen. Almost all of them happen through Zoom, so it's going to continue being that way. I'm not paying for Zoom Premium because that is outrageous for the price that they're trying to pay for how little use I really get out of it. As just a little note here for Zoom, it cuts off after 40 minutes, and most of my interviews are scheduled for a half hour, so it almost doesn't make sense. Once in a while, I get a great exception where I'm able to go an hour. And sometimes I just have to start the meeting over again in between. It really sucks, but for those rare exceptions, I don't want to have to pay that amount. But yeah, the interviews are going to be staying the same. I still want to put out videos every week in some way, shape, or form, and things are just going to keep evolving from there. So if there's only one thing that's going to be staying the same, it is the interviews. Simply put, it's not the kind of energy I want to put out in the world. I did too much of that when I was younger. When I was just a Metallica fanboy, like I hinted at in the beginning, all I did was think that Metallica was the best band in the world and every other band was shit. Then when I broke out of my Metallica shell, I thought only the bands that I listened to were the best and everything else out there was shit. And now in my life, for a good amount of my life, I've just learned to live and let live. I want to cover the music that I enjoy. I don't need to put that bad energy out there that, well, let's use Sleep Token or Avenged Sevenfold or any of these bands that are getting people riled up lately. I could easily make videos on that, and they might get a lot of views, and it'll get a lot of people liking my opinions on them, not liking my opinions on them, thanking me for loving them, hating me for hating them, and it's just not what I want to put out there. The closest to that will be Backwards Marathon if there's a particular bad album I don't like, which I've already done, Metallica being a great example of that. But I only want to cover bands that I actually enjoy, and I do enjoy a lot of great music out there. When it comes to heavy music, I listen to almost every genre out there. And just to cover bands and artists that are either trendy or exploding or just something to get people riled up is not something that I take any pleasure in. I take pleasure in helping people discover music that they may not have heard, that they've overlooked and might want to take a second chance at, or just be able to talk about music that we agree on, or even if we don't agree on it, just having like a good discussion between it. I will always take the positive side. You can talk trash about anything you want to. It's your prerogative. It's your life. You can do whatever you want to. So while you take that negative energy towards bands, I will take the positive route. And that is not to say that there aren't bands and artists that I don't like out there. There absolutely is. And again, I could take that energy and just crap all over bands. Like, am I going to talk about the new Avenged Sevenfold album? No. Why? One, I stopped listening to them, so I don't care. Two, I'm not going to talk about an album that I have no interest in. And three, from everything that I've heard about the album, it hasn't changed anything on me wanting to go, maybe I should give this a chance again. I don't want to spend the time promoting bands that I don't care about and I have no vested interest in. I just want to cover what I enjoy, and I want to spread that message to everyone who dares check out my videos and trying to do something a bit more positive in the world of negativity. Is it a deterrent? Absolutely, because, positivity will always be outweighed by negativity when it comes to media coverage. If I started doing clickbait and started attacking bands and artists and albums, I'd probably get a fewer view rate, I'd get more subscribers, I'd get all those things, but I'd be dead inside. And I already hate myself enough. I don't want to hate myself for doing something that I have a passion in, which is promoting good music that I love. So why put that out there? Simple as that. And that goes along with the question I just asked. And of course the answer is yes. I've done the top 100 albums of the year for well over 12 years now. I did it before I even had a job in radio. And of course, I'm going to continue to keep that up. And for anyone that doesn't know, I'm not just covering 100 albums that I listen to in a single year. I listen to hundreds of albums a year. Some for interviews, some for just my own entertainment, some for me discovering music. But I'm actually picking out what I consider to be the best albums of the year and ranking it in top 100 form. And I'm going to do exactly what I did last year with this, where I'm going to make a video with 10 albums apiece. I'm going to make it a 10-part series, just like I did last year, where I do 10 albums a day, so 100 through 91, 90 through 81, so on and so on, so we get to the top 10. I'm going to be doing that the Monday after Black Friday and covering it for those 2 weeks. I'm also going to be doing the written version of it as well up on heavydebriefings.weebly.com because I refuse to pay for that domain anymore because of how expensive they made it. But yes, I almost have 100 albums already, and it's June, so there's plenty more to be coming from July to November, and if you're smart, maybe the first week or two of December. I'll go into all those details at a later time, and along with that, I might be doing the best albums of the year so far list. I planned on doing that last week, but unfortunately, that was not the case due to personal things going on in my life, but I might be covering that at the end of the year, maybe in July. We'll see what happens. I'd definitely love to. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I'd love to be able to have that fan engagement going on here, not just for the clicks, but to be able to just give my thoughts on something that you might have a question for me for, something I might not be covering, like, how do I feel about this particular album, or how do I feel about this band, how do I feel about this movie, game, TV show, life in general, anything that you want to ask me, as long as it's YouTube friendly, I'll definitely cover it. And you'll have to go to my OnlyFans if you want the adult section. Of course, that doesn't exist, but hey, who knows? Times are tough. And there you go, folks. Did you enjoy this? Did you not enjoy it? Do you want to ask me some questions in the future? If you have any questions, let me know down below, and then we can make this an ongoing series where I answer the questions that you have for me. Or if not, this was a one-time thing, and maybe I'll do another part 2 of Q&A for questions no one asked. We'll see what happens. But yeah, this was my way to be able to give some updates on who I am, what to look forward to in the future, the way that I do things, and so forth. So until the next video, for Heavy Debriefings, as Josh Runk was saying, see ya.